I still want them. We'll talk about
Yeah. Fly Eagles flying on the team. Touchdown, touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird game nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randolph. Season here, really time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.
what is going on, everybody. It's
Good
myself,
evening.
my
Good
guy
evening.
Swerve, and we're going to talk about the outcome of the Eagles draft this year. And, we're going to go get into some subjects, and we're going to have a good show, man. We're looking forward to interacting with y'all tonight, man. So let's get to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to my guy Black. Swerve and Black. We here again. We got a lot to talk about. It was a really, I'm going to say, as a fan of the city of Philadelphia, it's been a really emotional weekend.
Yeah.
Like, it's been super highs and super lows all within a 24-hour period. And like that is what it means to be a fan of the city. Like, you're a 4 for 4. I'm a 3.5 because I love the Phillies, but I've been a Red Sox fan since I was a little because Mo Vaughn was my guy.
Yeah.
But like, I'm a 3.5 because I root for the Phillies. Like, I want the Phillies to be successful all the time because I think like just when all the teams in the city are doing well, the city is a fun place to be, and the surrounding areas are definitely a fun place to be. Yeah. So it's been like if we're just gonna start on Thursday, like the Sixers, they were 3-2 after being up 3-0, and they went to Toronto. So you had on Thursday night, you had the Phillies playing, and then you had the Sixers.
And the Phillies got no hit. They got
that was the day after. That was yesterday.
Yeah, that was the day after that.
Yeah, so Thursday you have the Sixers playing after being up 2-3-0 and losing 2 games. You have the Sixers playing. You have the Eagles with 2 draft picks in the first round, and you're just praying that they don't blow them. And then you have the Phillies playing. And you know what happened on Thursday? We actually had a really, really great day as fans of the Philadelphia franchises because the Eagles got Jordan Davis, who I felt was a top 7 guy in this draft, and the Eagles got him.
Right.
And then on top of trading 3rd and 4th and 5th round picks to move up to get Jordan Davis, who I think is a top 7 guy, you got Jordan Davis. Then less than an hour later, you ended up flipping a 1st and 3rd for A.J. Brown, who I feel like instantly makes this team 7-8 slots better than what I had him in my head. So then the Sixers end up beating the Raptors by 40. A ridiculous amount. Yeah, 40. The Sixers end up beating the Raptors like they some JV team, and the Phillies win. So like, if you're a fan of the city, you go to bed on the absolute high on Thursday night. You go to bed on the absolute high. Then Friday comes and the Phillies get no hit. Embiid has an orbital fracture and a concussion. The Flyer season ends, and the Eagles draft the center and the Kobe Dean. And it's just like, you went from being like absolutely stoked to being really, really, really sad. I mean, a large part of it is the Embiid injury. And then you're like, why are the Eagles drafting the center? I mean, we all knew the Flyers weren't going to be that good this year. So we all knew um, the Flyers weren't going to be great this year, but it's just an emotional roller coaster as a fan of the Philadelphia franchises, and it's just that was my last 48 hours. I mean, we sat and talked, and I really at first I was like, they drafted another center, but I get to pick because Landon performed well at guard.
Right.
When he came on the scene, he performed really well at guard. And maybe the thought process is that Landon might be your guard for the next 10 years. So if we're playing him at guard, then we'll go find another center.
And Kelsey was in on that one.
Yeah, Kelsey was definitely in on it. And also, apparently, from what I've read, and Joe said so, but Joe be like hyping everybody up sometimes. So I did my due diligence and research. And the kid might come in and compete for the Seumalo spot at guard this year. So it's like I can't be mad at that pick. I can't be mad at that pick because if the kid comes in and if he performs and there's even consideration for him to replace Seumalo at guard, then that means that was a really, really solid pick. So I can't be mad at that pick if he's the center of the future. Or if he's the guard of right now,
right?
I can't be mad at that pick. And then in the third round, they came back and they got Nakobe Dean, who I felt was the top. I felt Nakobe Dean had a first round grade on him. Like Nakobe Dean is just as athletic as Roquan Smith, and Roquan Smith went really early a few years ago to the Bears. I feel like Roquan Smith might be a little bit bigger than Dean, but there's not that much of a difference. Like I felt like Nakobe Dean is just as athletic, just as good, and this is based on in college. I'm comparing them in college because obviously Nakobe Dean's never played it down in the NFL, but I felt like Nakobe Dean came in, replaced Roquan Smith at Georgia, and that defense was just as good. Roquan Smith might be a little more explosive,
right?
But Nakobe Dean finishes his tackles. Nakobe Dean is just as athletic. I think Nakobe Dean actually may have a higher football IQ, if we're going to use that word. Nakobe Dean, football IQ wise, I think Nakobe Dean has a higher football IQ. I think Nakobe Dean was a little smaller and didn't get as much credit because he wasn't as explosive or dynamic at that position. But if you look back at his film, he's always in the right position and he makes the play and he finishes. He might need to shore up his tackling just a little bit. But Nakobe Dean is just as explosive as, just as good a player as Roquan Smith. He's just not as explosive. I think realistically, side to side, laterally, if you look at him, the Steelers drafted Devin Bush in the first round a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken, right? Devin Bush was a first round pick. I think Nakobe Dean had a better college career than Devin Bush. I think they're extremely similar players as well. I think if you're all right with drafting Devin Bush in the first round, there shouldn't be any issues with the Nakobe Dean pick. So I went back and I looked, and I think trading up for Jordan Davis was definitely amazing because I think like we're getting to the Davis. I'm segmenting from Nakobe Dean. So I'm completely fine with the Nakobe Dean pick. I think he's better than any linebacker we have on the roster. I think he's what Taylor was supposed to be. I know that Taylor was Joe's guy. Joe been trying to sell me on Taylor for the last 2 years. But I think we actually drafted a halfway decent linebacker now in Nakobe Dean. And Nakobe Dean's going to be what Davion Taylor was supposed to be. And I think what's crazy is we watched Walker, is that defense? We watch Walker go one. We watch Jordan Davis come to the Eagles in the first round. But I think, honestly, on that defense that won the national championship, I think Nakobe Dean was the most important player on that defense.
Right.
And I think he put everybody in place. So he's definitely really, he's a high IQ guy. He's extremely athletic. He's just a little undersized. But I think the league is kind of gearing towards those undersized linebackers anyway. So I am completely fine with getting Nakobe Dean in the third round. I think Howie had an excellent draft if you take into consideration what he did. I'm completely happy with Jordan Davis. I think that Jordan Davis was a top 7 guy. I think Jordan Davis was the best player talent-wise on that Georgia defense, but Dean was the most important player, like I just said. And you get Fletcher's replacement, and you get Fletcher's replacement, but also you can play one of those guys at defensive end if it comes to it. You can play Fletch, Hargraves, or Davis. Davis ran 4.48, so you can play them on a defensive end, strong side defensive end. So I'm happy with the Davis pick. Overall, I think the Eagles did a good job, and that's not even addressing the trade, which we'll get to a little while. I've been talking for like 6 or 7 minutes, so I want to let you go ahead and say what you got to say.
I think the biggest thing is, I'm glad they, with the trades the trade they made to get Brown, then getting Dean in the third round, and then I understand the Cam Jurgens pick. That was I understand that, but I'm still gonna stay in the wait and see phase because I want to see. It's important because you can't put that much of a burden on Slay on the other side. You know what I'm saying? McPherson, I don't think is anywhere near ready to be a number 2, right?
I agree.
So then that leads you to believe, and we're just going to stick at the cornerback position right here. What is your plan? You can't just say, well, we're going to wait until June or training camp or whatever the case may be. Like I wasn't a real big fan of Steven Nelson, but you let him walk. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your plan there? I want to know that. What is your plan to shore up that position? And I get that people think, okay, well, it may not be that big of a deal because they plussed up the defensive line, so the quarterbacks won't have that much time to throw, but you still can't depend on that because the defensive line they didn't get a lot of sacks last year. They may have gotten some pressures,
but not the sack number wasn't there.
Right, the sack number wasn't there, and that's what led to the crazy games that Herbert had.
Josh Herbert, yeah, Herbert.
Yeah, Derek Carr. Who else had a great game against them? Obviously Pat Mahomes, but that's different. Dak did twice.
Twice.
Yeah, you have games where guys is only missing five passes. Against you. That's
you got a middle of the pack quarterback going 32 for 36, and that becomes an issue.
And then you go back and then tell your quarterback, oh, you need to keep up. Well, it's hard to do that when your defense is on the field for 6 or 7 minutes every drive.
Every drive.
And they score. So you're telling him to hurry up. No, your defense should be stopping people.
Yeah. So your defense giving up 7 in on the field 8 minutes at a time. and then you asking this man to throw to Jalen Reagor and Dallas Goddard, and so
Yeah,
I mean, but I'm going to address that a little later as well. But
right.
I really feel like the secondary
There's a problem,
wasn't addressed.
and we still
The
didn't even get.
secondary
We didn't
wasn't
even get
addressed.
to the. We didn't even get to the safeties.
No, the secondary period wasn't addressed.
Yeah,
So it's like,
and you're gonna tell me I have no trust in Stephen. What's his name? Not Stephen Harris. Anthony Harris. I have no trust in him back there. Then you got Marcus Epps. He showed you some things athletically. He's fast, right? He's a good tackler,
but
but
he
does
ain't
he
the
get
answer
lost? But he got lost sometimes in
a
coverage.
lot.
You
And
know
then
what I'm saying?
Kayvon Wallace haven't. I like Kayvon. I want Kayvon Wallace to be
But
great.
he's
I really
always
want
hurt.
Kayvon.
But he's
Boom.
hurt. You know what I'm saying?
We
So
have no nothing in the secondary.
yeah, I'm always I always say, you get your guys, you don't play a game until September, right? But that's different when you need at least 3 guys to start in your secondary. That's a big difference. It's not like one guy where you can afford to wait. Teams aren't just giving away corners and safeties. They're not.
Yeah,
They're not giving them away. So what are you doing? You know?
I'm with you. I'm like, I'm happy. Like I said, I'm happy. I'm satisfied. And then I feel like we gave up the opportunity because the kid, I like the kid from Sam Houston. I don't know where he ended up. It was a corner. He was 6'2", about 200. He ran 4.3.
Right.
He was a little raw, but
Yeah.
I felt like, and with a team like ours, he could have came in and developed and competed for that second corner. Because Maddox, I don't want Maddox. I'm not comfortable with Maddox playing on
Being
the outside.
outside.
Period.
I want him in. I want him to stay in the slot. Leave him
In
in
the
the slot.
slot, right?
But I don't want
So,
him by any means to be on the outside.
no, me
It
neither.
doesn't end well.
So, not at all. And if that's what you banking on being your outside corner, your CB2, it's not going to end well. It's not. So, I don't know. Then again, I look at it like, if you didn't give up those picks, you probably wouldn't get Jordan Davis, who I think is going to be extremely disruptive and a monster
Right.
on the defensive end. So, I mean,
It's tough, man.
it really is.
I'm going to give Howie a flower where I've seen that. Okay, he learned a lesson, but you still need to take care of this secondary. That's just the bottom line. You know what I'm saying?
You have to, but I also think this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead and say what you're saying. Go ahead and say what you're saying.
I just feel like right now, at this moment, just with the draft on paper, you never say, well, something is on paper, right? But I think right now they are, at the least, they are what they were last year, right?
Yeah.
A
So
nine-
you said
a 10
9
and
and 17. Yeah, 10
9
and
and 8 or 10
17.
and 7.
Wild card team, right?
Right. They should, or if I look at the rest of the division, they should be fighting for the division title.
Yeah. So my thing was, okay, go ahead and say what you.
Go ahead. No,
my
go
thing
ahead.
was this, like, I looked at the draft and I said, what players were impact players that can improve whatever unit immediately, right?
Right.
So I looked at the players. I really didn't like any of the wide receivers. I thought Williams, I thought Jameson, if healthy, would be a game changer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I like Garrett Wilson. The kid from UCLA, USC was good, but I felt like offensively, Jameson was the game changer. Jameson was a game changer. I felt like uh not Evan Cross, but the tackle from North Carolina State
Right.
and the tackle from Mississippi, the tackle from Alabama, they were both really good. I'm
You
not
talking
saying
about
they're
Cross?
Jonathan Ogden.
You talking about
Huh?
Cross?
Cross went to Mississippi State. I'm talking about
Listen,
Evan
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 Neal.
Evan Evan Neal.
Evan Neal,
I
yeah.
thought Evan Neal and the kid from NC State, like when you draft the offensive lineman, he's not necessarily a game changer, but he solidifies your line to the point. Like we've been blessed. We had John Ryan and Trey Thomas and
Right.
Jason Peters. We've Lane Johnson, Jordan following in the footsteps. We've had really, really good offensive tackles. And
Yeah.
when you get a really, really good left tackle, it makes life a lot easier for your quarterback. So I thought Neal and the kid from NC State were both really good picks.
Right.
They weren't game changers on the offensive end. But I think when I looked at the game changers that would be available on offense, if you didn't get a Garrett Wilson, even though I think Chris and Garrett are similar, I don't think either one of them are like game changers. I think they'll both be really, really good wide receivers. I thought Jameson Williams he was the most explosive and had the most potential. So going into it offensively, I'm like, if you can get Jameson at 15, that was the pick for sure. And then on defense, I said, if you, I actually like, what's crazy is I'm a fan of Stingley. Like Stingley as a freshman was the most impressive defensive back in the country. I'm not even. And then he had foot injuries and did whatever. So the last 2 years he haven't produced like he did as a freshman. But Stingley as a freshman was really, really impressive.
It was just the injuries that
Yeah. And then you had Sauce. You had Sauce who popped up on the scene. Sauce is a really aggressive man corner. I like Sauce too. I think like looking at the way our team is built, if you got a Stingley or Sauce to plug in across from Slay, they definitely would make that defense better in pass coverage.
right.
Then you look at, I thought we lack at linebacker, and I'm like, if we got 2 picks at 15 and 18, reading up on Dean, if you could move from 18 to if you get if a Sauce or a Stingley fell to you at 15, you might could move back
Right.
a little bit, and you could draft a Dean or Lloyd because we were lacking at linebacker as well. So these were my thoughts going into the draft. I'm like, I talked to a friend of mine. He was like, whatever they do, if they go offense, they need to draft 2 picks on offense. They need to just make one of our units solid. Like he was like, whatever you draft at 15, you need to make sure you follow up at 18 with that same pick to make sure you solidify one of the units so that both of the units aren't mediocre. Because going into the draft, you had a mediocre offense and a mediocre defense, right?
Right.
So he's like, if you're going to draft, whatever you decide to draft both. Whatever you decide to draft, whatever side of the ball you decide to pay attention to first, that should be the second pick to just try to solidify that side on day one. I said that's smart thinking. So
But
I
at the end of the day, though, they still have a lot of they have a lot of work to do, and
they do.
yeah, and you know, I saw some of the undrafted free agents. They got Carson Strong from Nevada. There was
Nevada quarterback.
another guy they got. What's his name? I think Goodrich. Shout out to Mr. Hilton. He put that in there, and there was one other guy. You know, that I saw that they got, but I'm like, okay, you got You got a lot of guys to show up to the party. You need to shore this thing up, man. I
Yeah,
don't know. And
everybody. You're not gonna find a TJ Edwards every year.
right, you're not. You're not you're not going to get a he was here when he went to New England as a corner. Jalen Jalen, what's his name? The corner.
Mills.
Jalen Mills. You're not gonna get a Jalen Mills in the sixth or seventh round who
Yeah,
can start, fit in and start for you right away. That's not logical. You know what I mean? I know you did a lot of scouting and all that, but at the same time, you have to figure this out. I don't want to be looking at the game next year or this year and we're seeing the same things we saw last year.
yeah,
Because we overall, and let's get back to the offensive side. I really feel as though they've left it on the offensive side where there's no excuses for Hurts this year.
yeah.
And
No,
that's
no,
why
that's what I was gonna.
you
Yeah,
know, a lot of folks are critical of him. Some of it is rightfully so, but they've given you a big time receiver. We still need Sanders to remain healthy in the backfield. We need that to happen because I don't want to. As much as I like to see Jalen run, I don't want to see him running all the time.
and
I
I don't
don't
want him to lead the team in rushing this year.
right. I don't want. I don't want him to be leading the team in rushing touchdowns.
Touchdowns too,
How
right?
do you? How as a running back do you darn near get 1,000 yards and don't score a rushing touchdown?
0.
How is that possible? How is that possible? We need you to stay healthy, bro.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put that out there. We need you to stay healthy because that's why they haven't issued you an extension because you can't stay healthy.
you
You're a
can't.
great
It's a
talent.
hand.
You're a great talent.
When he's on the field, he produces most of the time.
Right.
The problem is he's not on the field enough. He's not
Yeah.
on the field enough, and
Not on the
you
field
can't
enough,
have your quarterback leading the team in rushing touchdowns. That's just it's not cool. Like Miles Sanders, what's crazy? He averaged 5 yards a carry, which if he was eligible for the league leaders, he would have led the league in
right.
yards per carry.
Right.
But
So there's no excuse if Miles Sanders stays healthy for Jalen to if you fail this, I'm rooting for him.
no,
But
I'm
if
rooting
you
for him
fail
too.
this one, bro, if you fail this year, and you don't take that next step, I'm sorry, can't nobody help you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they went and got him AJ Brown. You
right.
had Devontae Smith. Dallas Goedert is primed for a big year this year. I mean, I would have liked for them to get another tight end today. But if they trying to sell us on Ortega Whiteside, I'm gonna let them sell us on Ortega Whiteside.
And hey, did you see what Reagor did? He tried to do a pump fake. He took everything up out of his Instagram and all that, and then all of a sudden now it's back. Like, hey man, like look, you have to. That's another incident, bro. Grow up. Right now, like I understand, we were all 21, 22 years old, and somebody did something to us, and we felt that our pride was more important than the actual, assignment. Your assignment isn't to be on social media. Your assignment isn't to respond to people talking to you back and forth. Your assignment, all you have to do in your life, you don't have another what's the word? You don't have another obligation, bro. You're 22 years old. Get your behind on that jug machine Stay next to hurt Jalen, man. You know, have him throwing you routes in the off season. Get with the coaches, lock in, bro. It's no different than when you was in college. You had to go to school, do your school
Yo,
work, do your work. If you do your work, everything else will take care of itself. But you worrying
listen,
about all this other childish mess is going to put you in a spot where you already like now you are like the fifth receiver on the team, and you may not even be that in another 48 hours. You know what I'm saying? No,
he
go ahead, go ahead.
fam. Nobody cares if you delete the Eagles off your social media. You know why? Because no Eagles fan is checking for you. And I've been I've defended Reagor. I defended him and I defended him and I defended him. Yo, only in sports can you underperform and still hold on to your spot because they have to pay you.
Right.
And I'm like, bro, you mad because you didn't perform and live up to your billing. So now they have to find someone to replace you, and they did it, and you have an attitude. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
AJ Brown wouldn't have been in play if you went out and performed and did what you were supposed to do. So don't be mad at the Eagles for finding someone to replace you because you're underperforming. Because realistically, if you were an everyday working citizen, you would have been fired. Like, you would have been out of a job, bro. Like,
Yep.
you're only here because they're obligated to pay you for 5 years because they drafted you. Like, if you were Jalen Reagor, the trash truck, the sanitation engineer, or if you were Jalen Reagor, the valet driver, or if you were Jalen Reagor, the secret shopper, or whatever else you did in life that didn't involve professional sports, and you went out there and you performed how you performed the last 3 years or so, bro, you wouldn't have a job. So, like,
But real quick, let me give a shout out to some of these people in the comments, man. Eagle Slayer. my man
I
said
don't.
my man said the Cowboys had an F draft and I'm all here for it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Shout out to John Jones, man. He was telling us in the thread, you know, Embiid is available for game 2. So that's a good thing. You know, obviously, you know, Dank's in the comments, man. So I just want to give a big shout out to those guys and Nina, you know, Austin, Mr. Wing, and a couple other folks are in there.
Yeah, they not popping up. I'm in the comments now too. I see y'all. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Nothing was popping
walk
up
in
on
there
my
too.
screen to let y'all know.
Walk be
Shout out to
popping.
y'all for rocking with us.
Yeah, man.
Shout out to y'all for rocking with us. I'm in the comments now, so we get ready. I'm ready to respond, but they wasn't popping up on my screen. My bad. But I appreciate y'all for rocking with us right now.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Yeah, Reagor got chilled. But you know what? Everyone's so emotional. But I get when players perform and they feel like the team don't appreciate them. But Jalen Reagor, you haven't performed. You're like 28 catches away from the amount of catches I have in the NFL. And that right there says a lot about you, sure. Like, I just want to compare you to Justin Jefferson every time you even comment. And then until you reach what Justin Jefferson did, I can't. They went and got A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's a baller.
Right.
A.J. Brown's going to help. A.J. Brown's a baller. A.J. Brown is going to hopefully open up things for Smith and Hurts. So I believe they went offense. They improved offensively. They improved defensively through the draft. They improved offensively through a trade. Yeah. I'm definitely happy with the Eagles and what they did this week. As far as Reagor, you know, I can't say what I really want to say because we're on the verge of getting like sponsors, and every time I say a bad word, it takes away from the value of this podcast. But I really want to say Jalen Reagor, 3 bad words. Well, 1 bad word with Ida in front of it. But bro, you gotta perform.
Yeah, because the thing with Reagor, man, like, look, Well, like we've all, I think you can say we've all been in a spot where we've been at the bottom, and having to learn to be humbled and work our way back up. His thing, man, like, look, don't even obviously worry about your craft. You're a wide receiver. You worry about that. But before that, if you can't get on the field right now as a receiver, if you can't get on the field as a receiver, really work on your punt returning and your kick returning. Work on that because you are too fast and too skilled not to be good enough at that. That's just the reality of you did it in college. I mean, granted, the guy's a little bit faster in the pro game. However, you can still do it. Just watch the film. Get in the film with your guys.
Wasn't that the reason that they sold us on? Wasn't that the reason they took Reagor over Justin Jefferson? Because the return game.
Right. Thank you. Which turned out
John Jones.
Go ahead.
Yeah. John just said, will Nakobe Dean be an impact guy? Yes, he will, for two reasons. Guess what? Nakobe Dean is the best linebacker on the Eagles today. As of yesterday, Nakobe Dean is the best linebacker on the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know if you were watching earlier, but I said he's Roquan Smith light. And Roquan Smith went in the top 10 to the Bears 2 years ago.
Yep.
He's just as good as Roquan Smith. He sideline to sideline, he's just as good. He can come in and fill the hole. The only issue is he's a little smaller. I thought he was like 6'1.5". I guess he measured out at like 5'11.5". So that's the only knock on Dean. He's not 6 foot, but he's very good. I'm woke. I'm just drinking my Jameson, man. It's been a long day. I bought a bottle of this Jameson orange and I'm trying it out, and it's been good to me. But I'm trying to come do this show. Jameson need to give us a sponsor right now. Sponsor us, Jameson. But I'm woke Midwest Eagles fan. I just had a lot of Jameson in my system. But I watched the draft.
Yeah, but
Nakobe Dean is definitely he's the best linebacker. He's what Davion Taylor was supposed to be. He struggles with the straight up blocks because he's a little smaller than we thought he was. But we just got big Jordan Davis and we got Big Fletch and Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis and Big Fletch's job is to keep the blocks off Nakobe so he can shore up and make them tackles and explode into the defender like pow. That's shout out to John Madden. That was my John Madden.
I hope, and I've seen it by my guy Shine in there, man. Yes, I hope that
I would like to get Honey Badger.
They get Tyrann Mathieu, man. I hope they do. I hope they get the Badger, man. I hope they do, because that would be at least one guy you can at least you're gonna get something out of him. You don't know exactly what, but you're gonna get something.
But you're gonna get something. He's gonna show up every day.
Right.
Badger's gonna show up every Sunday.
Yeah. Now,
Badger's definitely gonna show up every Sunday for sure.
Now, what I'm thinking about is what's his name, Hargrave, because I think he's on the last year of his contract also this year. So I want to know what they're doing. I want to see what they going to extend him at the same amount of money he got with that first contract, or what they going to do.
I think it'll be less, but I also think that I think with Jordan Davis, Fletch, Hargrave, I think Jordan Davis and Hargrave are versatile to the point they can play a little defensive end.
Yeah.
I think they can play a little defensive end. And if you can put a Davis and a Hargraves with a Fletch and a Josh Sweat out there, and they re-sign Barnett. Hopefully Barnett rounds into the player he was supposed to be. And Graham comes.
Barnett just stop hitting people after the ball is gone.
After the whistle, right? After the whistle.
Dog, how many times, it makes it, you never want to say that somebody has a mental block or whatever the case may be because you don't know personally. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, how hard is it? You know the guy's throwing the ball. You know he's already thrown it.
Right.
Why are
Just
you
pull
hitting
up.
him?
Just
It
pull up.
takes just a little bit of thought, bro. You barely get enough sacks as it is. However, the least you can do is if you're not getting there, don't hit him after you get there.
Don't hit him after you're supposed to let him go. So
Yeah.
no, I believe that the defensive line. I believe you got Hargraves, Fletch, Davis, and Williams as your defensive tackles, and then you have Sweat, Barnett, and then I guess Graham. But I believe like one of those D tackles, Hargraves or Jordan Davis, are going to get a little play at defensive end. So I'm fine with that. I'm completely fine with that. I think the defensive line is really solid. I'm just going back and reading other comments I didn't get to see, but I've seen them. I'm going back and reading them. Yeah, definitely. I think Carson Strong makes the team. He actually might be the number 2 because I think if they get any type of offer from Minshew, they'll entertain it. Maddox needs to stay in a slot. This draft, Howie gets an A+. Yeah, I'll give Howie an A because if you include AJ Brown into this draft, then this draft was definitely by far a home run. Yeah. If you want to take in consideration that they got AJ Brown for first and third, granted they're paying him 25 a year, but I think he's only 24, so you're getting him in his prime years. So I'm definitely fine with AJ. If Howie could figure out a way to flip Jalen Hurts in the draft pick next year for Lamar Jackson, and we can make that work, I mean I would forgive Howie for everything. But
and the thing people don't really look in on it, like we're gonna do a real quick recap on this. You know, I want to do a real quick recap on this. Look at where the wide receiver money line started. It started at 20 million 4 months ago, right? And then you see what's his name, Christian Kirk, who hasn't caught over 70 balls in a year and over 1,000 any yards in any year in his career, get $23 million. So then,
thank you, Jacksonville.
Right, thank you, Jack. Yeah, basically, so by logic,
Jacksonville crushed it. Jacksonville completely changed the market with the Christian Kirk.
Right, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, so you get that, and then when Cheetah sees that, he wants 30 million from Andy. So they was like, well, we can't pay that. So we're gonna send you to Miami. So now you see these guys come back. You know, AJ, right? Devontae Adams. He wanted his 30 because he's the best receiver in the league.
Yeah.
And you know how Green Bay is. They wasn't paying him, so paying him and Rodgers. So they had to do it. They had to get rid of him, right? But and then that comes back down the slope to 25, right? And so now you see the Eagles pay AJ 25, but then you see Arizona pay Hollywood 23, and he ain't did as much as AJ.
Hollywood ain't did nothing. Hollywood, right. And that's why I think Howie. Again, I don't question Howie's trades. I don't question Howie in free agency. I question Howie draft wise. Like the fact that he got AJ Brown for 25 compared to what Christian Kirk and Cheetah and what Hollywood just signed in Arizona, I'm completely fine with that. Right. My issue is Howie in drafting, and he went and what he did was, again, you know what's funny is we said Howie was going to play it really, really safe because even though he got the extension, he felt the pressure. Right. So when you see Jordan Davis fall, and you say, "Oh, I got to give up a 4th and a 5th to move up to get Jordan Davis," who I mean. not only in my opinion, I think Joe had him as a top 10 guy, and I think a lot of guys had Jordan Davis as a top 10 guy.
Yeah.
And I think he's that guy that he was the guy that you look at it and you say he might not be a consistent all pro, but he's going to definitely perform for the next 10 years. That was a safe pick. I thought Howie was going to go really, really safe this year just because he just got extended and he wanted to show everybody, oh, I can make the right pick. I'm going to keep my job type of pick. So Jordan Davis was definitely the right pick. And then to follow up with Jordan Davis he hit a double with Jordan Davis. Like, people hated it. A lot of people who don't understand football didn't like the Jordan Davis pick. But I think that was a double. That was a double.
Yeah.
It wasn't a home run. It wasn't a triple. It was a double. You got a guy who can possibly replace Fletch in 2 years and a guy who's going to perform at a decent level. He might not be an all-pro, but he's going to perform at a decent level the next 5 years. Yeah. But then to follow that up and to get A.J. Brown for 4 years for similar numbers than what Christian Kirk and Hollywood Brown are signed him for, that's a home run.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm at a point now with the team where, like I said, I'm with all the teams, but really just with the Eagles, I'm at a wait and see phase. Like, you're going to have to prove to me that you are going to improve. And I'm not just talking about on the field. I'm talking about in the front office, because a lot of things have happened these past 2 years or 3 years, really the last 4 years, that shouldn't have happened. I'm grateful, and like I said, I'll give him flowers for at least attempting to correct his wrongs.
He's trying to right his wrongs.
But you can't rest on this either. You need to keep working to get out of this mess that you put this team into. You know what I'm saying? So, I know we got a lot of good guys going forward. I hope that we hope these guys get out there and stay healthy. Go into OTAs and get together. Bonding. Whatever y'all need to do. Getting those playbooks, whatever the first installs are, get into that, because this team is going to need y'all. I think they're going to need
everybody they drafted today, everybody they drafted this weekend can contribute. Like, everybody they drafted this weekend can contribute. And I think like that, I know you don't have faith in Hurts, but you got to give that man a chance. They just went and got him a legit receiver. I think, you know what else I think? I think the person who benefits the most from A.J. Green being here is Quez Watkins.
And I think, you know what though? And it's you just could put this out there. I think that the team is higher on Jalen Hurts than even some of the people who support Jalen Hurts as fans are. Because if you look at the moves they made in the draft, just in the draft alone, right? They went and got A.J. Brown, right? But but they trusted Jalen because he was talking to A.J. the entire time, right? He was working with A.J. the whole time in the off season,
right?
So they got that back and forth, and then you fast forward to the draft, Calcaterra. They got Calcaterra, who was at Oklahoma. He was Jalen's tight end there before he got hurt with the concussions.
With the concussion, and he transferred. He transferred out,
but he played with Jalen that year. That year that Jalen was there.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, they went and got AJ Green, they got that kid. So obviously the team believes in Hurts. It's the fans that are giving Hurts it's the fans that don't want to believe in Hurts or give Hurts his credit. Like, I look at Hurts and I say, look, I watch Hurts in Alabama where he got replaced from Tua, right? He got replaced by Tua.
Right.
Then he doesn't pout. He transfers to Oklahoma.
Didn't ask out.
Nope.
He went to Oklahoma because he had no choice. But he didn't cry.
Right, he did. He didn't cry. He said, he transferred. Saban told him, hey, we're going to rock with Tua. Go ahead and transfer. The man transfers to Oklahoma. We watched Baker Mayfield kill it at Oklahoma. Then we watched Kyler Murray kill it at Oklahoma, right?
Right.
Jalen Hurts, who was a horrible passer,
Horrible.
leaving Alabama, he was a horrible passer.
Absolutely horrible. He didn't even get 40 yards in the national championship game at the half. That's why they had to put Tua in the game.
Tua. He goes to Oklahoma, and he throws for 50 touchdowns, right? 4,500 yards, 50 touchdowns. Man, he earned it. He earned it. He comes to Philadelphia. He sits behind Wentz. He's earned it. He works his tail off. He's a leader. He went out and he led the team in rushing last year. Led the team in rushing and rushing touchdowns. Devontae Smith was his best weapon. They got rid of Ertz. Devontae Smith was his only weapon. You had Reagor, you had Quez Watkins. Like, let's be honest, Reagor and Quez Watkins are in a 2 and 3 and no other receiving room in the league.
Right.
He still goes out there with a horrible defense because Gannon's defense was trash. Jalen Reagor literally carried the Eagles to a wild card slot. Granted, the division was trash and they ran into a lot of soft teams, but it don't matter. Jalen Reagor literally played like you can't lead the team in rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, passing yards, and passing touchdowns, and not even be considered as the person who carried the team. Like,
and see, this
kid carried the team.
And I'm back in the comments real quick. I'm reading comments.
Me too.
So we get wrapped up into what as fans, which is fans, right? We get wrapped up into what we think our image of a quarterback is or a certain player is, right? However, that is the reason, whether we like it or not, that is the reason why those guys hold those positions and make the money they do to evaluate and make those decisions, right? So you got to understand that there's some things obviously, and we also got to look at it from an executive or a business side of things. Like we can go, and I'll frame it like this. There's always a guy at work that you guys see, whoever's in the comments, that you see at work, that you always wonder, how do they get promoted, right? How do they get this and how do they do that? Well, you only see what you see at that.
Yeah, you only see the results or whatever, but you don't see the behind the work team.
You don't see what's going on behind. You don't. Thank you. You don't see what's going on when you went home early. You know what I'm saying? If you went home at 4:00, but that man there at 7:00 at night, you don't know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And it goes vice versa. They don't know what you doing to put in the work. So you gotta understand, maybe these coaches in the front office see him as putting in that work extensively with the hours and going to work with Tom Brady's quarterback coach. We don't. Those are things we don't see. We don't see that stuff. So if they feel comfortable with Jalen Hurts being their quarterback, what can we say about it? You can be mad about it. You cannot trust him. You cannot have faith in him. But our faith isn't paying him. Isn't going into his bank account. It's not.
Wayne said it. Mr. Wayne said it perfect.
Yeah,
we don't see the grind. We love the results, but we don't see the grind. And I know for a fact that Jalen is grinding, and I can't hold it against him when you out here. You sending him out here to battle every Sunday with a receiving core that's like the worst receiving core in the league. So it's like,
and then at some point you had Jordan Howard as his starting running back.
Yeah.
Austin Scott as a starting running back.
Boston Scott. Jeremiah.
What was it? What was number 34's name? I'm trying to remember his name. I forgot, but he was starting. Huntley. You had Huntley out there.
Huntley, you had Gainwell getting 20 touches, and I like Gainwell. But
and JJ had one catch every 7 games.
Yeah, so, Jeremiah, you can't. If he has the traits and he has nobody to throw to, how are we holding him accountable for not being able to connect with receivers that shouldn't be playing 50 snaps?
You got guys, almost like somebody saying you didn't take out the trash. Well, the damn trash bin. I'm sorry. Well, the trash bin was full. How am I supposed to take it out? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's like y'all keep killing Hurts and saying Hurts ain't okay. I'll give you a prime example. Like 2 years ago, people were saying how bad of a quarterback Jameis Winston was, right. And if you look at the numbers, it was like, oh, he had this many touchdowns and this many interceptions. But then if you go back and you look at the 25 interceptions he threw, 13 of them were off of receivers' hands.
The quarter. Let me. We're gonna end the quarterback discussion on this point, and I think this point puts a cap on it. How you feel? How the fan base feels? Whether you're right on the right side of Jalen or on the left side of Jalen, however they feel about it. The NFL told you these last 3 days how they felt about the current crop of quarterbacks coming out of college. One quarterback got drafted in the first round.
And I don't even think.
And it took another 88 picks for, I think, what was it? I want to say Malik Willis.
Malik Willis went to Tennessee.
Right. And then it was Corral after that. But it took 2 more rounds after the fact.
Yeah, I think Corral is an illegitimate Manning.
Right. So what is that telling you how the league feels about the current stance of quarterbacks coming out of college? Right? They didn't draft. You had one in the top 88, and then they didn't draft another one for another 2 rounds. That's telling you there was nothing out there. So all the big hoopla about we need to replace Hurts and all that, and we need to figure out what Minshew is. What did the league tell you what they thought of him? If the league thought anything of Minshew, somebody would have traded for him. They didn't even trade for him. They didn't even trade for darn. They traded for Mitch Trubisky before they even traded for.
They traded for Minshew. Trubisky got a call before Trubisky got traded before Minshew. Secondly, Jalen Hurts is the same age as the Matt Corrals, the Sam Powell, and the Sam Howells, and the Malik Willises. They're not. There's not much difference in age between Jalen Hurts and those guys.
Bro, the state of the college quarterback is down. They showed y'all that. I'm in the clear, and I'm in the
Jalen Reagor. Hold on, Dank. Jalen Reagor has had how many seasons? Jalen Reagor has had 35 games to prove his worth. Jalen Hurts played 4 games, and then he had 17. Jalen Reagor's 21 games in. Jalen Reagor's 35 games in. People are super critical about Jalen Reagor because he sucked with Wentz and he sucked with Hurts. So it doesn't matter what he's doing as a quarterback. We're critical of Reagor because you watch Reagor, who was the first round pick, and also you have to put this into context. Like, we took Reagor ahead of Justin Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson has been nothing less than spectacular in his first 2 seasons, and Reagor has been a huge disappointment. Jalen Reagor wasn't a first-round draft pick. Jalen Reagor wasn't the quarterback we took in front of another quarterback. Jalen Reagor was a second-round pick. Jalen Hurts was a second-round pick. Reagor was a guy in a position of need that we took because he was explosive, and also we thought he could help us in the special teams and return game in front of Justin Jefferson, who didn't do any returns or anything. And Reagor has been an extreme disappointment. So let's not compare Jalen to Jalen, because that's apples. That's
What happened?
Hey, I'm gonna see what's up with him. I'm gonna bring him on, and we're gonna get this back rolling. All right, I got you.
What happened? He scanned out.
He's got that, he's got that Wi-Fi we can't. So he's got that Giants Wi-Fi. I think he's.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
I ain't got no idea.
I'm off. Y'all killing it.
Oh, my bad. My bad, everybody. We back in functioning, man. But yeah.
You can't compare Jalen to Jalen. That's not a fair comparison, because Hurts wasn't supposed to come in and make plays for us. Meanwhile, we drafted Reagor in front of Jefferson, and Jefferson came in.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna keep moving. But
Jalen Reagor has hacked the Wi-Fi of Swerve, apparently. So we
had to, man. I don't know I really don't know what's going on.
Jalen Reagor keep hating on me, man. Jalen Reagor out there hating on me, man.
Hey, but that's not Reagor. He's wiping you out, man.
Yeah, he watching the show and he don't like it. Mama Hurts, you see him defending. Mama Hurts, you see him defending our guy. Yeah, Jalen Reagor hating on me. But you can't evaluate. You can't compare Hurts and Reagor, man. That's a completely unfair comparison, and it's just really, really bad. I think you said is he fourth wide receiver worthy? I think Jalen Reagor is honestly the fifth best receiver on the Eagles right now. The AJ Brown acquisition benefits Quez Watkins, but what people aren't taking into consideration is this. And I was having this conversation earlier. It doesn't only benefit Quez Watkins, because I believe Quez hasn't gotten the openings he should, because he hasn't had a really good number two.
Yeah.
But now I think with AJ Brown and Smith, Quez Watkins is going to be a solid number three. But you know who this also opens it up for? It opens it up for Mr. Gainwell, because I think Mr. Gainwell is a better wide receiver than Jalen Reagor at this point. So I think Gainwell runs routes really well too. And I think Gainwell catching the ball out of the backfield, Gainwell being the fourth receiver, is also a viable option. So Reagor is.
And I'm going to respond to a response in the comments. Thanks saying that we can't say anything negative about Hurts play. Then the following that logic, we can't say anything about Reagor. See the difference. I'm gonna tell you what the difference is in that aspect. Hurts gets criticized on one side, Reagor gets criticized on the other side, right? You know what the difference is? One doesn't run from the grind. He doesn't complain. He doesn't go back at the fans. He locks in. Even if it's a marginal upgrade or improvement, he does it. The other one just goes into his feelings, deletes his accounts, cries, snaps at people on social media. That does not helping you. You want when I think about it, and I'm just being real about it. I want to be in a room with a bunch of grown men, right? When I go play basketball and I'm playing basketball with my guys or I'm on a team, I don't want no childish people on my team. We going to win, right? I don't want nobody that's being soft about criticism and all that around me because we going to get that criticism. That comes with the job. That comes with being a professional athlete. You are going to get criticized. Now, how you deal with that is what you're feeding into the noise. You're feeding into that, and you cannot do that as a professional athlete because that social media isn't what's feeding you. That's not going to. That's social media. Social media isn't going to create, generational wealth for you.
Yeah.
It's not.
And
you gotta let that
and I'm
go.
watching.
You gotta let that go.
D Money said Reagor's a deep threat, not a volume receiver like Jefferson. First off, well, if he's a deep threat, the Eagles shouldn't have took if a deep threat was the only thing he was, the Eagles shouldn't have took him that early in the draft.
Because
you didn't need a deep threat. You needed a number 2. You needed a guy who could be an XRZ and start 16 games a year. If Reagor can't be that, if he's Christian Kirk, then let him be Christian Kirk. Don't draft Christian Kirk in front of Justin Jefferson because what you needed was a receiver that can go catch 85, 90 passes a year.
Right. Because what I'm not going to do is I'm not these don't you know what I'm saying, we need to understand this. These folks are human beings. However, they're human beings with feelings. So are we. But at the same time, understand this. We work every day.
Yeah.
We have a job. We're held accountable at our jobs by somebody that in a higher position than what we are. So Reagor and Hurts are held accountable for whatever they do, good or bad, in their positions. Right? It's called accountability. Right?
Accountability.
Not only accountability. They're not only accountable to their employers, they're accountable to their teammates. You see what I'm saying? And if as a teammate, I see this dude acting weak after week, and I'm over here grinding, and I can't even get on the field yet. Like you got a guy like John Hightower that was inactive for 17 weeks. And you know what I'm saying? He's a 6th-round pick.
And he's out there busting his tail every day.
Right. And he's grinding just to stay on the practice squad. And I see my teammate over here crying about something that was said on social media. And he's a 1st-round pick. I have a problem with that because I can barely get on the field, but yet you over a 1st-round pick.
Every time Hightower got the chance, he produced. Like Reagor, and I think it was Mr. Wing who said it. Reagor's not good enough to be scrubbing his social media.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like you getting your feelings, and you scrub your social media. I would trade you for a bag of wrap snacks and a shot of Jameson right now. Again, Jameson, I'm drinking this orange. Y'all need to sponsor us, Joe, when you post this at Jameson, because I'm drinking this Jameson orange, and I got the Jameson ginger lime beer. I'm out here doing it. But Jameson, you need to sponsor Philly the podcast. Also, bet us. You get 125% of your first deposit. So check that out. But back to Reagor, you scrubbing your social media, bro. We was trying to scrub it for you. Like I trade you right now. I trade you right now for a bag of hers. I trade you right now.
I trade him right now. I would trade him right now,
man,
for a pack of white tees from Foreman Mills.
Yeah. Like Reagor, you have nothing. Reagor, you have nothing. When it comes scrubbing your social media means nothing because you've given us nothing. Like you've given us nothing.
You didn't even block it. At least JJ's they label him the best blocking receiver.
Shout out to Brandon. Shout out to my guy Brandon, who let us know every chance he gets that JJ Arcega-Whiteside was rated the #1 pass blocking receiver
by PFF.
By Pro Football.
Oh my God.
At least Arcega-Whiteside blocks. This man Reagor scrubbed his social media like somebody was going to get upset. I was praying the trade came through. I would have traded I would have traded Jalen Reagor for a 15th round pick in the Major League Baseball draft.
Right, but see, Midwest Eagles fans, see, the thing is, man, what people don't understand is like with your social media, when you have a job, man, these people be paying attention to that stuff. You know what I'm saying? They pay attention to what you do on your social media. You have to be a little bit mindful
Hey,
of
Mr.
what
Wing,
you're doing.
I want the Migos Ranch, John. Mr. Wing, I want them Fetty Wap jalapeno honey. I want a limited Migos Ranch chips for Jalen.
Yeah, you just got these guys, man. Like, when we were, I don't want to say we outdated, but this is, thank God that the LTs and the Jerry Rices and the Deion Sanders.
Charles Haley.
Thank God they didn't have social media, man. Thank God they didn't, because Lord knows,
Right.
man. Lord knows, bro. And they're just like, and you have no one really teaching these guys, or they do have people teaching them. They just think they know everything.
Yeah, or they don't listen. You teach
Right,
them, but
and you
they
don't
don't
listen, and you're not listening. They're gonna keep listening, not listening to themselves out of millions of dollars, because they think they know everything. When all it takes is just you showing up to your job, catching the ball, man, blocking, doing whatever assignments they ask you to do for 60 minutes, and you go home. I
Yeah.
wish I was talented enough to go out there and have a job like that, where I only got to do it 6 months out of the year.
Yeah, I wish. You know what? I got 4 weeks of training camp,
Right.
3 weeks,
Think
three
about
weeks
that,
of
man.
preseason, and
These jokers
17.
don't work for 6 months, and all you got to do is don't go to jail,
Work out, stay in shape.
stay in shape, learn and study when you in the room, study when you in the complex, and then you apply what you studied on the field in the preseason, and then you actually do it in the regular season, in the playoffs. That's all you got to do for 6 months, man. How hard is that? How hard is it? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, dang. Michael Irvin would have been off the hook.
Yeah. Mike would have been something. Mike would have been something we
Man,
never
they was
seen before.
trafficking 190 pounds of weed across the state of Texas with. Can you imagine the dash the police dash cam on that one?
Yeah.
Oh
Like
my God.
Mike
Oh,
was definitely a different animal. Like it would have been something crazy. But we overall, I didn't realize we was an hour 15 in.
yeah. Yeah,
Overall, I'm satisfied with this draft. I I think Howie did a great job. If we include an AJ Brown, if we include the trade for AJ Brown, Jordan Davis, AJ Brown, and Nakobe Dean, after that, pretty much no matter what he did, he was at least going to end up with like an A minus. But seeing what he did with the undrafted free agents and the day 3 guys, I think Howie really did a good job. Really did a good job this year. Like we talk all the time. Looking at this team before the draft, I had them as a 4 or 5 win team. I had them like 5-12. Um, I didn't see how they could duplicate what they did last year because I thought they got lucky and they had a few wins. But in saying they got lucky, like if I'm being completely honest and 100% real, they lost a few games they shouldn't have lost, and they
right,
won a few games they shouldn't have won last year. So they were pretty much about where they should have been last year.
right.
This year, on paper, I know we don't like to talk about on paper. I believe that with the addition of Jordan Davis, the addition of AJ Brown, N'Kobe Dean on defense, and we didn't talk a lot about Jurgens. We didn't talk about him. He could actually might play guard. Is it, he might be Siamalo out for a guard position and then move over to center because the plan was that Landon was going to replace Kelsey, but Landon looked really good at guard this year. So,
Right.
I mean, solidifying the offensive line is never an issue. I think overall, I'm satisfied. The Eagles get an A+. Howie gets an A+ if we're. I think it's an A. It's a B+, A- if we don't take the AJ Brown trade in consideration. But
Yeah.
adding the AJ Brown trade into the mix, it's definitely an A for me.
Yep. And we're gonna wrap it up, man. At this point, man, it was good. It's good being with you, man. Hit that like, subscribe to the Philly podcast, man. You know, big shout out to my guy, man, Joe, Brandon,
Brandon,
and I want to do a quick side. I want to do a quick side shout out to, you know, I think there's two guys that really don't get the love that they really should. You know, they're the most down to earth and, you know, logical guys I've seen. You know, Big T Will, the guys that play, you know, he does a basketball podcast, Brunson also, and then really I want to, you know, give a shout out, quick flowers to Jeff Mosher and Adam Kaplan, man. They really they put out some good logical and content on the Eagles also. So I want to give a quick shout out to them, man. But once again, back to the Philly podcast, man. Please hit the like, subscribe. This is my guy Swerve. I'm Black, man. We're gonna be back on here more in the future, man. And y'all have a good evening, man. And you know, Philly podcast, we out.
Philly the podcast, we out.
Yeah. Fly was flying on the team. Touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird game nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randolph. Season here, really time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.